in this video I'm going to show you how to turn this nasty looking brake caliper into this, with all new seals, piston, everything completely refreshed. To answer the question, how do you go from this nice looking caliper that's all been reconditioned from this, you need some parts first of all, because the reason why we're going to want to change this, or why I want to change this, because the brake was binding. The reason why it starts to bind is because your piston and sometimes the surface, the kind of cylinder wall, gets corroded. And the reason why it gets corroded is because your seals eventually die, and then you have water ingress and dirt and all types of things get in to the piston and then just ruin the surface. So if I just show you what the piston that came from this looked like, this is it. So you can see surface rust all the way around it, and what happens is that piston, instead of just gliding in and out of the caliper as it should do, it just starts grabbing and binding and doing all types of weird stuff, and just means your brakes don't really work as you want them to. And then the actual rubber seals, see, this is the one that actually goes inside the caliper. That doesn't actually look too bad. You can see it actually has got some rust on it. That's from the caliper itself. And then these seals, these eventually go out. This looks a bit strange because it's had some paint on it. I'll explain that a bit, but what happens is they eventually die. So look, you can see it's a bit torn in places, but these just basically get old and brittle and not great. This is the bleed nipple, so you may as well replace your bleed nipple because while you're at it. And then these are the sliders. These just get old and crap and allow loads of again, water or grit and stuff to get in here, and it basically knackers your old sliders. So this is all things that you're going to want to sort out, and that's why you've got a whole range of items you're going to need. For a start, you don't have to paint your calipers, but if you're going to go to this extent and do all this work, you may as well make them look nice as well. You'll notice there's a lot of surface rust. Now, I'm not going back to bare metal on these or anything like that, but what you can do is you can just wire brush this all down and then use some stuff to convert the metal from rust to the actual material, the iron it's made out of. This is stuff called Vactan. You can get loads of stuff that's similar but different, but all it's doing is just converting this rusty surface into back to metal again, so remove some of this oxidization. And then to paint the calipers, we've got this Technique. Again, you can get lots of different types of paint. It's just heat resistant paints, whatever color you want. This is just black, midnight black, but you can obviously get whatever you want, whatever suits your car. And then this is the Frentec kit. So these are actually from an MGZR 160. You'll see these are the pins I'm talking about, guide pins. So that comes with the seal and the bolts. The seal itself, which is this main one you see at the front, and the little seal that sits inside the caliper. Again, it seems to come with these because I bought these two separately. Comes with those seals as well, the guide pins. Comes with the red rubber grease, and that's for the rubber seals, and the silicone grease for the guide pins. I bought the kit that comes with some of these bleed nipples and then the piston as well. So all these pistons are different sizes depending on the caliper you're using, but this is the piston for the MGZR setup, 160 setup. So that's about it. It's quite a simple job. And this is the first time I've actually refreshed calipers, so that's why I decided to do one caliper first, and then with that experience I'm going to show you how I did it. But it's not a difficult process at all, and I'll just show you the easiest way, or the way I found easiest of doing the job. So first of all, I'm going to clear all the stuff out of the way and just make room just for the caliper itself. First thing I'm going to do is dismantle the caliper. There's a few different ways of doing it, but key things you want to do are take the pads out, take this one out as well. Just walk these out really by my hand. There we go. And then this is just a 12mm here. I've already slackened the bolts off, but it's going to be easier to do both of these now. Okay, so that one's there, that one's there, and the kits I bought came with extra parts, so you don't have to reuse those bolts, but always handy to have. Then these little carriers come off, these little clips, whatever you want to call them. And again, I've actually bought some more of these, so I won't need to reuse them. It's also worth noting which way your caliper is. So you see I've got the nipple there. The nipple's always at the top, so that means that this is obviously the about the right way. So the nipple's at the top, so actually this is the top of the caliper. So I'll put that up here. And then just take out this remaining clip, and what I'll do is I'll just keep it hanging around for a bit until the new one turns up. So that's the upper and the lower. And then what I'm going to do is just leave these as they are. So this is the old sliding pin, and just so when I come to paint these, no paint gets down into what I don't want it to be, so these are kind of sacrificial at this point. So that's ready to go, ready to be cleaned up at least. And then here, this is ready to be cleaned up as well. I've just got this in place, leaking a bit of brake fluid, but what I'll do is I'll just tighten that back up and probably remove any brake fluid that's in there, and then I'll just start the cleaning process. So just tighten this back up with 14mm. You see it looks a bit wet, but I just sprayed it a little bit with some brake clean just to remove the brake fluid from there. Now I can just go, and I don't need to do too much to these. I'm just going to use some wire brushes, different sizes, and just try and get rid of anything loose that's on top here, and then we can start with the metal changing, what should we call it, metal rust converter, let's call it that, rust converter liquid. But first of all, let's use some wire brushes and see. What we'll start with is something very crusty and lots of stuff like that. Let's see where we end up. Here we go. This is 5 minutes with some wire brushes and a flathead screwdriver can give you. The key points on the actual hanger part are here, because that's where those metal clips go. Also, you just want to make sure there's not like heavy rust here and here. And also you want to make sure along here, because this is part of the surface you'll see, you want to try and have some attention to the outside there. This is the caliper. Again, this bit you want to pay some attention to because this is the surface you're going to see. I haven't paid loads of attention to it, but it's just make sure there's nothing loose on there. And then here and here, where the sliders bolt to, and then just went over the whole thing really. You don't have to go mental, depends on what you're aiming for, but these are second-hand calipers, so I'm trying to make them look a bit better. That's about it. The main thing I want to do is make sure they perform properly. So that being said, all I need to do now is get this rust treater and paint it on, and it's very easy. Let's just grab it. So this kind of acts as a base coat as well. It's dangerous stuff. You don't want to get that on your skin. I'm going to be wearing gloves, and also I'm going to be wearing eye protection when I'm using it, just to make sure that I don't get anything. You don't want to find out what it's like in your eyes, really. So now all I've got to do is probably bang this outside, and all these rust particles and stuff, so I've got a clean working surface, and then I'm going to tip some of this into a cap and then paint it on, and I'll show you what it looks like. Right, I've sprayed these down with some brake clean from that. Let it dry, which happens very quickly. Got some of this vac tan stuff, the rust converter, in a separate pot, because what you don't want to do is go double dipping with your brush to the actual main vat of the stuff, and then so on, as you'll just ruin the whole rest of the batch you've got. So just pour some out into a cap, and then you're only contaminating the thing you're working with, if you see what I mean, rather than the whole bottle. Then I've wiped this over. I mean, I used this last time. You see it gets a bit of a mess, but it doesn't really matter. Then I've just got a nice clean brush, and I'm just going to paint this whole thing. I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. But I'm going to try and flip it over with a screwdriver, not get my hands on it too much, and do both sides all in one go. Right, as is often the case with these things, less is actually a lot more. You don't need a lot of this stuff on. Just make sure you get a nice coating on there. But it's only meant to be a few microns thick. If you read the instructions, you're never going to know how thick it is, but you can certainly see bits where I've put too much on or it's collected. What I'll do is, before it dries, just go over and just brush that off. But that's basically what you're aiming for. And like I say, get the specs on. Don't mess about with this stuff. You do not want this in your eyes or on your skin. Get gloves on, get your PPE sorted, and there we have it. Once I'm happy I haven't missed any bits, then just leave it to dry. I'm going to leave that for a day to dry. I don't think it takes that long, but that's how long I'm going to leave it, because then it goes over to the black paint on them, and you can see why I ended up just leaving all the seals in and stuff, because that means I don't have to mask anything then. And these on there, I won't get anything down there or anything, just these are sacrificial now. So perfect. So you can see here, they're just drying off. I'll put them on these bungees so they can just dry. So this is the result when you let that metal converter convert the rust. If you come in a bit, you can see here it's changed it. There's bits where I've done better and worse on this. I applied a little bit later on, seems to have reacted not as well, but whatever. And then this bit here, so you can see it's changed the colour of the whole thing, from rust to actual metal. And then the next thing I'm going to do is put this Technique Midnight Black on. Obviously shake it. Temperature's 20 degrees. I think it says on here you can't be below 20 degrees. And then basically just spray it over. The first coat's just going to be just a dusting over the whole thing, and then the second coat will be the top coat, if you like. So first thing I'm going to do is shake this and then just dust the whole surface, and I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. So like I say, that's just a little dusting coat. I'm not trying to get the final coat on here yet. This is just to kind of prime the whole thing in the paint. And then you can see here as well, a hanger, it's just dusted in. So that'll be good. And now, obviously it's 20 degrees, 21 degrees, which is perfect. Temperature, well, anything above 20 degrees. So I'll just let that dry. I think it's about 6 hours it wants before you can paint over the top. So this is what it looks like after it's had 2 coats of the black paint. It's all dried up now, so I can take it off. And one thing I'm going to have to do is obviously take the piston out. I'll show you that. I'm going to remove this 14mm for the brake line, and then finally I'll remove this for the actual nipple. But let's get to taking out this piston first. Just taking out that 14mm line, just tipping out the old brake fluid first, and just make sure you don't ruin your paint. So you need to wipe that off, any of the dribbles. So now the next thing will be, let's get this piston out. I'm going to use a punch. It goes down in there like that. And you want it to be quite a large size, so you don't have any risk of kind of any side to side movement which was going to damage the threads. So just going to put it like that and then whack it with the club hammer, and I'll show you the progress. This is my progress. You can see it's starting to come out, and I'll just continue on whacking that piston right down, most of the way out now. There we have it, that's the piston out. You can see again the corrosion, not so bad this one I don't think, and that's where you're driving through there. Take that out. There we have it, still a bit of fluid. What I'll do is just mop that fluid up with some blue roll there. The piston here, just leave that light there just so you can see what's going on. So the first thing I'm going to do is just pluck the old seal out here. If it will come, nothing actually really holding it in other than being in there for ages. There we go. And just take this bit out. There you go. Now, if you just get the light on it, you can see all the rust and stuff that's on there. And you can see the piston more clearly. So this piston is not really affected. I should say the cylinder is not really affected by rust too badly. It tends to be the pistons get repitted. So what I'm going to do first is just get some brake clean and give that cylinder a real good clean out and have a look what we're working with. So that's the cylinder cleaned up with the brake cleaner, and you can see it really is in nice condition. There's no need to scrape this or anything. There's a few bits of debris in it. I'll just get my finger in there and just pull it all out. So I'll just give that another rinse round, but there's no need to do anything there. So just get rid of this seal now. Tend to be quite fixed in there. There you go. Get rid of that one. You can see again, it's kind of covered in rust, but nothing too sinister. So I'm just going to give that a real good wash around with the brake clean now and wipe it. Right, this is the kit from Frentech for the MGZR 160 calipers for the 282mm brakes for the fronts. The first thing you want to do is grab the little seal in here and then open up the red rubber grease they give you and just put that all over there and place it in that little slot. This is the seal now going in. See, it's just, you need to make sure it's in the whole way and just run your finger around there just to make sure it's the whole way home. So then we have this seal, and you see this lip here, that's the one that you need to go around this edge here. So first of all I'm going to use again that red rubber grease around the seal, and finally we'll place the piston, which I'll show you. But first of all, let's install this and make sure it's the whole way home. So this is the seal in there, and then you just need to make sure there's a little bit of a bump there, and just basically run your finger around there and just make sure it's the whole way in. You shouldn't be able to pull the seal out by now because it should be in there. Then just get some of this red grease, smear it around the outside, and we'll be almost ready to put this piston in. If you look inside here, you see I've got the red rubber grease all around both those inside seals. I've got the piston here, this is the part number, and then all I need to do is, it's a bit of a weird process, but you need to get, I'll take my gloves off for this one, it's getting serious. Get your fingers in here, okay, and then what you need to do is kind of feed this seal over the piston, okay, and if you don't do that, basically you'll end up damaging the seal. It's quite difficult to explain how to go about this point, but basically you're going to use your fingers to pull the this inner bit of the seal over to the point where it's over the whole of the piston, and then that's the hardest bit in this, but it's you've got to just have some patience, and then once you've done that, you can basically just slide the whole thing back using 2 hands probably, and just press this piston back in to the caliper. There you go, I've just pushed it back a bit more, and that started. You can see there, it will just fall into the, there you go. And it sits should be nicely the whole way around there. See whether the right place the whole way around. Then you can just continue pushing back. That's it. Nice, done. It's just that bit pulling that over the piston. Maybe I've got big hands or something, but it's a bit of a pain. But other than that, it's quite easy really. Now this is kind of the fun bit. We can just look at the rest of the caliper. So here we have the old sliders painted now. Just take that all off. There's one, and what you should do is always, this one's got the ribs on it, so that's that. And if I point it so the nip is facing up, which is there, that's there, and this, that's like that. So if the nipple is facing up, that's the top of the caliper. So it's always that the this bit here with the lines on it is always the bottom part of the slider. And just take this one off. Boom. That's off as well. Get rid of them. So then I'll just get my sliders. Again, Funtech guide kit. So I can just use some of this other lube that came in the kit. Silicone grease. Just put a bit of lube on these sliders, and then just place these in. This kit comes with these little rubber bits because it's a little bit of a shouldered bit there, and this is for the bottom slider only. And what you need to do is just basically push that on there so it meets there. There we go, that's on there. And then I can just do the simple process of lubricating this pin, and that's just with the supplied silicone grease for guide pins. So you can see here, this is the rubber boot, if you like, on there. Just slip it over the top. This is what it looks like when the rubber boot isn't there. So this is the that grease on the pin, and then this is the bottom of the caliper. I can just push this in here like that. I should just, I have to use 2 hands, but just slide that in. Right, looking at the old one, you do need these rubber seals, but the rubber seals that came in that kit don't appear to be fitting. I'm going to actually rob the seal from this. I'm just going to pluck it off and put it on. So I've had this little screwdriver in like that. So I turned it round and then just started pulling back and just wound it off here. So just a weird way of doing it, but it worked really well. So here we are. Got it off this one, hoping to whack it on here. Right, we're on there. Just use some of the lube I've already got on this bit, just to kind of lube up that rubber itself. Just wipe off any excess. And these should be nice and free to move. This one's nice and free to move as well, which is great. Just make sure you don't pack it too much. So these are nice and free to move, both sides. And all I need to do now is place this on here. So simply, obviously, take these bolts out of here and just mount it to the caliper. So you can see I'm just mounting these in here. I think these are 14 mils. And just do them up both sides. So I've got new bleed nipples, so I can just knock the old one off. I painted that one knowing that I didn't care about it, so that's just an 11mm, just take that off. Brand new bleed nipple on, and I've just got these covers that have the little holder on anyway, so you can just place that on there, place this past here, so place that on there, like that. It's looking pretty nice now. And then that is almost the whole story. The only other thing that I'm going to do is I've got some new spring clips coming, because the old ones are quite crusty and crap, so I'm going to put them on there. Also I've got the old bolts for the brake lines. I'll just put them in there to stop anything falling down in there for now. And that is pretty much the whole story. I mean, I think they look a lot better. They could probably be a bit nicer than this. I'm not like very great in doing like cosmetic stuff, but I think that they look a lot better than they did when I took them off, and certainly they'll be functional and they'll work as they should. So that, there you have it. That's how to recondition your calipers, and this probably goes for most calipers, at least on the front of your car. It's slightly different taking the pistons probably out on the rear brakes, but this is it. So there we have it, all done and dusted. Final view of the pistons. So there's one of them corroded, another one very corroded. Those two are going in the bin, and these will be going back in the car. So these are not the right ones. You can see that's the shape of them. These are the right ones, and what I'm going to do is just take one out of the packet and show you that compared to one of my old ones. So here we have it, Mintex MBA 1278. That's this. You can see this is going to work for me. So to do this, all you do is pull the hanger off the sliders, which will be nice and easy because it's all lubricated anyway, and then just place it in here like so. Just a bit of worming it in there, but like that. There you go, that's it. And then you can just pop the thing back together and then place the pads in. Okay, then we've just got the pads. So this one that has this little bit of metal there, that's just so that once you get to the point where you wear all that pad material down, this scrapes on the disc and gives you that screeching sound and tells you you better buy some more pads. And I won't be able to do that with just one hand, but just slide it in there and slide that bit just past there, these two little ears, and it'll pad will go in. So there's one pad in. Now just get the other one in. You notice it doesn't have that bit of metal on there, and goes in much the same way. Just get one of the ears in first like that, and then slide the other one in. It's a bit of a fight, particularly with this pad here, but either way they're all in, and now they'll be ready to go on the car. Let me know if you found this video useful, and thank you very much for watching.